Hi guys, and welcome to Piano and Keyboard Artist, where we discuss the artists related to pianos, keyboards and synthesizers. And today it's all about Andy McCluskey from OMD. Now this video is part of my Who is the Greatest Frontman in Electronic Music History series. If you've not watched that video yet, please watch that video. And in that video, I've invited you to vote for who do you think are your top favorite frontmen in electronic music history. Now that can be a frontman from any period. It doesn't need to be the 80s. It can be any frontman in any electronic music act. And then based on the data that we capture from that video, I'm going to do a countdown video based on your feedback, and we're going to count down who the top 10 electronic frontmen are according to your poll. Wow, 40 years of OMD. We are at a stage now in linear time where a lot of these great artists that were sort of like the forerunners, the pioneers of electronic music, a lot of the music we talk about on this channel, a lot of those artists have now been going for about 40 years, meaning they'd started in late 70s, early 80s. Depeche Mode have just been going for 40 years now. OMD is another one, I think Ultravox. And when I think of all these acts that are that have been around for 40 years. Well, most of them are not around anymore. There are those that have come back onto the scene to do nostalgia. But when I think of these acts that have, started around about that period and that are still going, I think OMD, to me, is one of the acts that has really aged well. Andy McCluskey as a frontman, if you look at him, the way he performs now, compared to the way he performed back in 1980, he hasn't changed much. He's aged very well. Physically, he looks, he hasn't changed much. And, I don't want to, we all get older. And there are those people that just tend to age better than others. And there are those performers who tend to, they just never seem to age, if you know what I mean. There are those that are still doing it and you're kind of like, okay, there's not much fuel left in the tank. But that is definitely not the case with Andy McCluskey. Andy McCluskey is incredibly energetic. If you've been to any of their live shows, I haven't been to see OMD live. I did see them live once. This must have been about 3 years ago. I went to the Wembley Arena here, and they had some kind of, forgive me, but I can't remember what the event was. Some friends invited me there. And I remember seeing a whole lot of artists. They had Boy George, they had UB40 and OMD and Aha were there doing an acoustic set as well. And I remember watching OMD because they at this event I went to, forgive me, every artist had a slot to do 2 or 3 songs, and Erasure was there as well. And I remember OMD did, I think they did Enola Gay and Maid of Orleans, Joan of Arc. And I was very, very impressed by Andy McCluskey's energy. When he came onto stage, you can just feel he's got like presence, and the way the crowd reacted to him, it was like, wow. You definitely feel it when you go to a show like that where there are different artists, and you will see different artists coming on, and then you can kind of see the audience reaction. But you could feel that when OMD walked onto the stage, there was a real sort of like wow factor. The way they performed was amazing. They sound the same as they did. And, you might say that's a bad thing, but I don't want to mention any names, but, there is a band we talk about a lot on this channel who have just really lost their identity in the last few years as far as their live sound is concerned. But OMD are not like that. OMD have retained their core. They still know who they are, and they still sound great. And Andy McCluskey as a frontman is incredibly energetic. He picks up his bass, and he's got his bass where he's got these. He reminds me of like a sort of like a show jumping horse. He's got kicks his legs like that, and of course when he puts his bass guitar down to do his Joan of Arc, the Maid of Orleans dance, which some have called the epileptic windmill, or some people have. He's also been called a geography teacher with ants in his pants, due to the way he used to dress. Just a comment on Andy McCluskey's dancing. To people who mock his dancing, I'm kind of saying, fuck off. he to me is one of these people that will absolutely lose himself in a performance, and the way he's going for it and shaking his arms, and it doesn't matter. He doesn't give a fuck what you think or what I think. He's just expressing himself. And that, my friends, is a real fucking artist. You know, it's not the soulless crap where, you know, I'm going on a tangent now, you know, mainstream, where they're like, "Rick-a-dick-a-dick, got my homeboys here," with the bitches in the club say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, yo, yo," and it's all choreographed and, you know, sterile, and it's not that. This guy is the real deal. You know, he doesn't give a fuck. It's like, if you laugh at me, I don't care. I'm expressing myself. So, and there are a lot of examples like that. Jim Morrison was another one. Just going off topic a bit, you know, he did really strange moves. Mick Jagger, another one. They lose themselves, and these are artists. They don't care that, you know, they don't mind making themselves look foolish in order to express themselves. And that, my friend, is a real artist. You know, we're not talking about influencers and attention seekers. Yeah, we're talking about real artists. And I mentioned that in the Bernard Sumner video, which I spoke about, how I distinctly make the differentiation between a singer and an artist. And one of my subscribers left a good comment on one of the videos I read the other day. And the comment was, "Singers and musicians are two to a penny, but real artists are very rare." And that is a very, very good saying. I remember reading an article on Andy McCluskey many years ago. I can't remember the source, but he said something along the lines of, "I sweat blood and tears to write memorable melodies," or something like that. Now that brings me back to OMD's music. And as I say, we don't want to focus on OMD's music. This is more about Andy McCluskey. But their music over the years, it's refreshingly OMD. You know, they haven't sort of like tried to push the boat out so far. And, you know, some bands really try to reinvent themselves all the time, for better or for worse. Now, OMD always keep it fresh and interesting, but there's something sort of refreshingly and reassuringly OMD with every record. And what I like about OMD is they haven't sort of turned against melody. I'm going to be doing a video soon about the lack of melody in music these days. God, I sound like such an old man. And I'm going to give practical demonstrations as to why I say that. But OMD really, if you listen to their records, they've not shied away from the use of melody. If you think of like Enola Gay, every song had like a sort of like a melody, and think of "It's my direction, it's my proposal." So, Souvenir. Every song had a iconic little melody that identified the song, and they still do that in their music. Every song has a melodic motive running through it. Anyway, that's more OMD. Back on to Andy McCluskey. Andy McCluskey is a great songwriter. He understands what a song needs, and he understands that melody is more important than anything else. But it's not only melody, it's also sentiment, and it's intelligence. I mean, if you look at their architecture and morality, I mean, that was, you listen to that album and then you listen to it and you go, wow, this is really a concept album. And then you start thinking, oh my God, these, what were they, like 20, 21 when they did that? And you cannot believe the attention to detail and the intelligence and the subject matter. You know, I don't want to be condescending, but you know, if you think of a lot of 20-year-olds in the pop industry these days, not all of them. Remember, when I attack current music, I'm not attacking current music. I'm attacking the mainstream current music, because very often I hear music which is great, and I'm like, wow, who's that? Some unsigned artist. But yeah, we have a go at the, you know, the sort of the Simon Cowell X Factor brigade. And that kind of music where it's all about, you broke my heart, baby, I'm going down to a club with my homeboys here looking at the bitches, yo, yo. You know what I'm getting at, the sort of emptiness of romantic mainstream pop music. And it's not just now, we've always had it. But OMD were always reactionary to that. They're a little bit like Pet Shop Boys, where they were a little bit wooden, a little bit intellectual and on their own trip, but it really, really worked. And the subject matter is amazing, very, very deep and thoughtful, you know, writing songs about oil refineries and as Andy McCluskey said it, it was always weird to watch people, you know, grooving to Enola Gay, you should have stayed at home yesterday. It's very catchy. And a lot of people, you know, dancing to it, obviously a lot of people when they dance, they just listen to the beat and the rhythm and the melody. They're not really listening to the lyrics. And to see people sort of grooving and dancing to a song which really has very dark and cynical subject matter, you know. It's very self-aware, but it's, you know, it's about a disaster, you know, Hiroshima, the atomic bomb. And as I said, I did remember hearing a friend of mine once Enola Gay was playing, and my friend was singing along, and he was going, "You know again, you know again." I was like, "What are you saying?" He went, "You know again." I said, "No, it's Enola Gay." And then I had to explain to him what the song meant, and he was like, "Oh, fuck, really?" I said, "Yeah." But this is where great songwriting comes in, is when you can take something which is very serious and, you know, make it danceable. And there is a genius to that. But anyway, that is a separate subject. I have done one other video on OMD on this channel, only one, and I really should do more because I love OMD. And that is this video. Please check it out if you haven't watched it. And in that video, I talk about OMD's sound generally, and I also give a few practical examples and demonstrations of their songs. Now, Andy McCluskey's persona on stage, as I say, he's got a very strong presence and character. And I don't like to talk about artists' characters, you know, because it's, you know, I like to talk about artists so far as their art, you know, their personal lives and things like that. It's not something I really feel is any of my or your business. It's personal. But talking about his character, I know some people have often said that Andy McCluskey is a little bit, you know, up his own arse, or he's a bit arrogant or stuck up, and I don't see that at all. I do see him as a very self-assured, very confident guy. And he reminds me a lot of my father in a way. And if I can explain, Andy McCluskey, as my father, he's got this way of telling you something, and it's kind of like, I'm telling you this because if I didn't tell you this, you wouldn't know. And remember, there is a fine line between being confident and being an arsehole sometimes. So whereas I don't think Andy McCluskey is an arsehole, I think some people sometimes think he is, but I don't see it. I just see a man who is very capable, very competent, and very confident. And you know what? If he wanted to be arrogant, I give him, he has my blessing to be arrogant, because he's got nothing to prove. Energy, charisma, artistic integrity, great songwriting, understanding the industry, understanding who he is and what he is. And, you know, these are all things, these are all elements that make up a great front man or front person, or you know, or leader of a band or an act. And what I love about Andy McCluskey, Paul Humphreys, OMD, is that I always find these electronic acts, and I'm thinking of, like, you know, Erasure or Pet Shop Boys, or even the members of Depeche Mode and Kraftwerk, a lot of these electronic acts. What I always liked about them is that there doesn't seem to be the ego that you get in rock music and in hip hop. And, you know, there are a lot of genres where it's just like the attitude is just everything. And I'm just like, oh, fuck off, you know, because I'm a bit of a geek myself. So I love it when you see people like Paul Humphreys who are really geeky, or Andy McCluskey who's geeky. Andy McCluskey's very geeky, probably even as geeky as Paul Humphreys, but he just doesn't come across as geeky, you know, when you speak to him. But a lot of these geeky sort of people, like even Alan Wilder's really geeky. They are geeky. Vince Clarke, very geeky, but they're really gentle, humble, beautiful people. Even when I interviewed Gareth Jones, oh my God, what a geeky, beautiful, humble, wonderful human being. And I don't know what it is. That's probably a subject for another video. We can talk about why, you know, why are electronic music artists, not always, but the legends, why are they always fundamentally so geeky and humble and beautiful? Whereas, I mean beautiful, like a beautiful soul. Whereas opposed to like rock, it's all like, come on, man, let's kick some fucking ass. Yeah, baby. You know, and hip hop as well. You know, you get these genres that are just like really aggressive. And, you know, even if we take our frontman Dave Vaughn, you know, he comes up there and he's, you know, he's he's a seriously cool bloke. He really is. But, you know, behind the scenes, he's a really humble, nice, you know, down-to-earth, chatty, cool guy, you know. And what is it about electronic music that it's just less dicky than rock music? Why is rock music... Anyway, we're going off topic now. Andy McCluskey certainly gets my vote for one of the most outstanding frontmen in electronic music history. I would definitely put him in the top 10. But as I say, I would like you to join in on that video and let me know what your thoughts are. And it's up to you now, my friends. Let me know what you think of OMD. Let me know what you think of Andy McCluskey. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Anything you'd like to say. Remember, this is a discussion channel and the content that I produce here is really based on your feedback. I'd like to thank those of you who have been with me from the beginning, and if you've just come to the channel now, please hit the subscribe button and join this community. Guys, if you hit the like button, it will help me very much with the YouTube algorithm, so I do appreciate that. A special shout out and a thank you to my Patreon supporters. Guys, thank you so much for helping fund and sustain this channel and ensure that we go from strength to strength. And to those of you who want to take the conversation further in this channel, please be sure to join the Vaughn George Facebook group, which is kind of a forum group, which in that group we discuss the videos from this channel. As always, guys, I want to thank you so much for your support. We've just reached 15,000 subscribers. I couldn't do it and I would not be here without you. So thank you so much for everything. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Peace and take care. Adios.